Right now, social media is on fire. New rumors are spreading fast about Jeffrey Epstein and secret parties that are brought up again and again in his emails, and Ellen's connection to them, and how she is now seemingly trying to avoid attention.
Don't want you guys coming to my house. I will tell you over the phone the truth, so you guys to save the trip, and I will tell you the truth.
People online are saying the lockers present at these locations held disturbing materials and private records. Authorities have never publicly confirmed many of these claims, but the mystery alone has fueled wild speculation. Considering the recent allegations about cannibalism, it's no surprise that Ellen DeGeneres is being dragged right into the middle of this too. This time, though, it's being reported that Ellen is looking to flee arrest, even though she's already abroad. We know that when Trump came into power and threatened to release the Epstein files, Ellen left the United States and spent over a year living quietly in the English countryside. Later, she and her wife, Portia de Rossi, reportedly bought a massive mansion overseas before returning to America. Now, celebrities move all the time. That part isn't strange, but the timing raised eyebrows. Why would you suddenly leave when some of the biggest criminals in America are about to be exposed?
So, Mr. President, we are looking at an image of a portrait that looks to be you, Mr. President, in this blue dress. Can you describe this painting? And
he doesn't need to describe the painting. You just gave him a picture. What's your question?
My question is, are you familiar with this painting? Have you ever seen it in person?
I've never seen it in person.
In past public statements, as in 2017 speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging you and others ran a child trafficking ring.
That's when people started connecting dots, whether the dots belonged together or not. The UK angle made things even louder. Epstein had documented ties to Prince Andrew, and that scandal shook the British royal family for years. So when Ellen relocated to England, conspiracy-minded corners of the internet started whispering. Then came the old clips of Justin Bieber as a teenager.
What age would you want to get married, and how many kids would you want to have?
So, I'm like 17, so...
Would you rather have to be naked on stage? Answer Justin Bieber.
I have like little girl fans. I can't...
Imagine it wasn't like weird like that.
Justin Bieber!
I will squeeze your face.
No, I will. No.
I mean,
If you had to date one of us, five.
who it?
People rewatched interviews where a 15-year-old Bieber said on camera that he felt uncomfortable with certain questions adults were asking him. At the time, it was brushed off as awkward celebrity humor. But watching it back today, it hits differently for many viewers. Even Justin knew he had been practically SA'd.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
Ellen's show was one of the biggest platforms young Bieber appeared on during his early rise to fame. She supported him publicly and helped boost his career, but she also made him extremely uncomfortable in exchange. And to add fuel to the fire, she also had well-documented ties to Diddy, a man heavily alleged to have taken advantage of Justin Bieber when he was a child.
Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really, that early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like, what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
No, it'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then No, I mean the after party.
Mm-hmm. No, I know about them.
Ellen also lived in Montecito, California, an ultra-wealthy area known for high-profile residents, including Oprah Winfrey and Prince Harry. Elite communities often mix socially and financially. That alone isn't proof of wrongdoing. But Epstein's influence was largely about who had access to whom. So when people see the same powerful names popping up in Hollywood, London, and royal spaces, curiosity turns into suspicion. To be clear, Ellen has not been charged with crimes connected to Epstein. There is no court decision tying her to his case. The online theories remain theories. It doesn't help that Ellen has a history of questionable and sometimes borderline criminal behavior. One moment that shocked a lot of fans happened in 2019. Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, were spotted sitting next to former President George W. Bush and his wife, Laura Bush, at a Dallas Cowboys versus Green Bay Packers game.
It took a greeting on the gridiron between former President George W. Bush and Ellen DeGeneres to bring it into sharp focus.
It may not seem like a big deal for a celebrity to attend a football game, but I never leave my house, so it is a big deal.
Ellen and her wife, Portia de Rossi, were invited to sit in the private box of Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Former President George W. Bush and his wife, Laura, were also there.
The internet exploded. For years, Ellen had been seen as a strong voice for LGBTQ+ rights and a liberal figure in Hollywood. Bush's presidency, on the other hand, included opposition to same-sex marriage and support for the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. So when photos showed them laughing together at a football game, people were confused and some were angry. Ellen later addressed it on her show. She said she's friends with people who don't share her beliefs.
So I want to talk about something that happened this weekend. I know it's Tuesday. Sometimes I like to ruminate on things all day Monday so that on Tuesday you hear about it. This weekend I went to Dallas for the Cowboys game. And thanks. But during the game, they showed a shot of George and me laughing together. And so people were upset. They thought, why is a gay Hollywood liberal sitting next to a conservative Republican president? Didn't even notice I'm holding the brand new iPhone 11. But a lot of people were mad, and they did what people do when they're mad. They tweet, but here's one tweet that I loved. This person says, Ellen and George Bush together makes me have faith in America again. Exactly. Here's the thing, I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have. We're all different, and I think that we've forgotten that that's okay that we're all different. For instance, I wish people wouldn't wear fur. I don't like it, but I'm friends with people who wear fur. And I'm friends with people who are furry, as a matter of fact. I have friends who should tweeze more. And but just because I don't agree with someone on everything doesn't mean that I'm not going to be friends with them. When I say be kind to one another, I don't mean only the people that think the same way that you do. I mean be kind to everyone. Doesn't matter.
That is a very interesting argument to make, considering, some of her friends ended up becoming convicted criminals. Some viewers respected that message. Others felt disappointed. That moment became part of a bigger pattern people now point to. Ellen moving comfortably in powerful circles across political lines. Then, in November 2024, Ellen and Portia packed up and left the United States for the United Kingdom. At the time, she had already stepped away from daytime TV after the Ellen DeGeneres show ended. She kept a lower profile. But in August 2025, fresh allegations about her behavior behind the scenes started making headlines again. A former writer from her show, Greg Fitzsimmons, spoke on a podcast and described her as rough and difficult to work with.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the biggest guy in the world, but you're not a pussy by any means. What was so bad about Ellen?
It was psychological. It was like this thing where, we'd go into the writer's room, we get to work at 9 a.m., and then we go right into her office. She had this big office, right. And we'd sit around, there was overstuffed chairs and leather couches. Very cool. We sit there and drink cappuccino, and it was a loving environment until, I remember one time I made a joke about Justin Bieber, and she goes, I love Justin Bieber. And it was so nobody else can have a different feeling about Justin Bieber because you like him. And then she iced me. And then every joke I would tell for 10 days, she would literally not react and look away and say, all right, who's got something else?
Wow.
And so it was this thing where she would push you out of the circle and then pull you back into and when she pulled you back into the circle, oh my God, hand on the leg, laughing at what you were saying. And so for me, it wasn't that big a deal. Right. But for other people that, had mommy and daddy issues, and she you know, when you're working 14-hour days and she's the boss, like it becomes a very powerful dynamic. That person's approval starts to meet, especially when people are getting fired constantly.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just being ostracized from the circle. It was genuine fear for your job. And so everybody felt that fear.
To be clear, being friends with a former president is not a crime. Moving overseas is not a crime. Workplace complaints are not the same as criminal charges, and Ellen has not been charged with any crimes tied to Epstein. But in today's climate, perception matters almost as much as proof. The public is re-examining everything: old friendships, old footage, old emails, old interviews. And the bigger theme here is that powerful people often move in overlapping circles. Right now, Ellen isn't hosting a daily show. She isn't sitting across from A-list celebrities every afternoon. She's safe from the firestorm engulfing America right now. But a lot of her favorite picks for president aren't, because the latest headline-shaking Washington is Bill Clinton.
I just finished testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee. I did it for 2 reasons. First, I love my country, including our Constitution. And America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents, and that we should all live under the same set of rules. This kind of democracy requires every person to play their part. And I hope that by being there today, we can bring ourselves just a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree civilly and we can search for truth and justice, and that it outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle.
Newly released Epstein files included photos of Clinton sitting in a hot tub and swimming pool with women whose faces were blacked out. The images quickly went viral. Social media did what it always does: zoomed in, slowed it down, and started asking questions. Clinton testified before a congressional panel investigating the Epstein case. He said clearly that he had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. He also said he did not engage in any inappropriate behavior with the unidentified woman in the photos. Insiders and survivors, however, are saying something different.
In particular, very, very close to Jeffrey Epstein. She actually wrote a letter to Bill Clinton in 1995 that he should meet Jeffrey Epstein and talk to him about currency stabilization. So this is something that's been going on for a long time, and he's been very involved with this particular family, which it goes without saying has extremely deep ties to the state of Israel for an extremely long period of his career.
She approached me and she said that her friend was here. He was the King of America, and he was here with his friend Bill Clinton, and he owned his own island in the Caribbean, and his friend owned Victoria's Secret, and would I like to meet him? You know, because it would be good, obviously, for my modeling career. So I went to the restaurant where they were, and it was Epstein, Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and about 3 or 4 other people. And it was a small group. And they all stood up while they were having dinner and shook my hand. And it was, you know, and Bill Clinton actually held onto my hand for a very long time. It was very weird. And then they also invited me to actually go watch Clinton's speech. I was like, I obviously wanted to go watch the speech, and I did. And what I did notice was Kevin Spacey was filming all the students in the hall. And then after the speech, we went back to the hotel, and then they looked at my modeling portfolio. You know, and the girls were sitting there, and Bill Clinton walked past and witnessed the whole modeling casting. And then Epstein looked at my modeling portfolio and said he thought I'd be perfect for Victoria's Secret, and he wanted to bring me over. And then, you know, after that, his office started phoning, and Leslie Groff arranged to get me a visa and to get me to New York, and I was there within 3 weeks. But you know, what I've started to realize is it was more like a syndicate, a club, because the properties, they were all very different in style. It was almost like they didn't all belong to one person. You know, there's a lot more going on there.
According to his testimony, the pictures were taken during a trip to Brunei. He said he was invited by the Sultan to stay at a hotel while working on humanitarian efforts connected to the Clinton Foundation's AIDS initiative.
So do you recall the details of this photo, or recall the photo being taken?
No, I don't think I ever knew the photo was taken.
Okay, and for those who can't see it, it's a photo of you in a hot tub. There's a person next to you here. Do you remember where it was taken? Where was it taken?
I'm almost sure that this taken, I think there's an adjacent photograph, which you probably have. that if people saw it, they would feel that someone was trying to con them showing this picture. But anyway, this picture was taken in Brunei. And we flew one night on a trip to Asia, the last very long leg.
You said we, is it, who is that including?
Well, my TIL team that was working
Thank you.
on the AIDS issue, and Mr. Epstein was there, and Miss Maxwell. But anyway, we got to the end of the flight was Brunei. It's a tiny place, but a very wealthy one, and the Sultan of Brunei.
When asked about the photo, Bill Clinton had some very interesting reactions.
Just for the record, there's another picture that also shows this as part of the larger pool area. Do you all have that so that he can refresh his recollection with respect to that?
You should have it. It's quite enlightening. If you watch this,
Yes, it's noted.
It'll
Yes.
give you a different feel.
Thank you.
Okay.
We don't have it with us right now.
Okay,
We do
thanks. I just
have
wanted
it
to
as
make
well.
sure he knew the
And so were there other people in that pool or hot tub with you as well?
I don't think there's anybody in the hot tub. I didn't forgotten that there was anybody in the hot tub, but it was big, but it was about.
Well,
He's asking in the pool
It appears
area.
this photo, there's a girl over here, or there's someone.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
But he's also asking in the pool area whether other
Yes,
individuals.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you don't know?
No, and then there were other people in the pool.
Okay, so do you remember were they under 18? Would you
No.
know? No.
Were they part of your traveling party, he's asking you?
Yes, they were, I think. I think everybody there was part of our party. It was late at night or late-ish, and I also believe that there was a Secret Service agent there at the other end of the pool.
Okay, and was this in public?
No, it was a hotel room, and the Sultan wanted us to stay there, and the water, this big pool, was on the same floor that there were several suites, so we went out, I swam around, I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes, or whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any activity
No.
with this person? Okay, thank you.
And that ends this round, and
He also acknowledged that he flew on Epstein's private plane several times in the early 2000s, but he stated that those trips were tied to foundation-related humanitarian work. He said he cut ties with Epstein long before Epstein's crimes became public in 2008. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton testified that she did not know Epstein personally, but the Epstein files themselves say something else completely.
Or they thought she might even be president, right? And then after, she lost to Trump in 2016, it dried up essentially. But also, in addition to the other philanthropies, you have the Clinton Global Initiative, which was allegedly Epstein's idea. According to his defense lawyers, he was part of the core team that developed the concept for the Clinton Global Initiative, which is kind of like a Clinton brokered Davos, World Economic Forum style meeting. And, they passed money around to, Ghislaine Maxwell's Terramar, for example, among other things. And so, Epstein was obviously very sought out in the not-profit world, arguably because he was very good at tax shelters. And a lot of these billionaires want to, get tax write-offs or not have to pay money in tax. And so, setting up these philanthropies the right way, when Epstein's background, going back to his time at Bear Stearns, was in tax evasion, obviously I think that points to why they were so interested in having him be involved in setting up their nonprofits. And there's also the fact that you had Epstein.
But the story doesn't stop there. More recently, during Hillary's deposition, something happened that prompted Hillary to not only outright refuse to answer any questions, but also leave in anger.
I have
There
another
are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing? If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So I would like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was.
It doesn't matter. We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So
well.
I would like to take a break at this moment.
Yeah,
I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
Both Clintons and Donald Trump appear in the Epstein files. Neither has been formally accused of wrongdoing in connection to Epstein's crimes. Still, the public attention is intense. Now, the investigation is widening. Recent documents have revealed email exchanges between Musk and Epstein. His brother, Kimball Musk, also appeared in the files.
The world's richest man, Elon Musk. He's always denied any close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but they exchanged numerous emails trying to arrange a visit for Musk to Epstein's island in the Caribbean. In one of them, Musk goes on to write this: "What day, night will be the wildest party on your island?" Now, Musk has addressed those allegations directly on X. He wrote, "No one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. I don't care about that, but what I do care about is that we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploitation of underage girls." So this is the fullest picture we have, but only so far.
At the same time, critics began pointing out something uncomfortable. The alleged victims of these big names have come out and revealed the horrific way they were treated.
Bryant was a first-year university student and part-time model when she was ensnared by Epstein in Cape Town.
I just turned 20 and it just seemed like my dreams were all coming true. Because, our family was struggling financially and I just really wanted to try and make a difference for my family. And I was dreaming of doing something like modeling.
Her first trip out of South Africa was to New York, where she says she abruptly found herself on the way to the Caribbean, sat next to him on his private jet to Epstein Island with the women he used to recruit her.
Basically, as the plane took off, he started forcefully touching me in between my legs. And I just freaked out and I suddenly realized, oh my God, my family aren't going to see me again. These people might kill me. I got such a fright. It was such a huge changing thing for me. And I suddenly realized I had to just be nice and be friendly because I realized that I was in great danger.
And he's assaulting you and the other women
and
there.
They were laughing. Yeah, they saw and they just laughed. So I was really, really petrified. And it really changed me, the whole thing, going through this. And I just didn't know what to do, and I just really thought that I was going to die.
Juliet wasn't the only victim he lured out of Cape Town.
If these allegations are true, then it would explain why they are pushing so hard to make themselves seem innocent. The alternative would simply be the end for their careers and lives. But here's the larger pattern that keeps repeating in this story. Powerful people demand transparency until their own connections come under scrutiny. Then the conversation shifts to context, to timing, to interpretation. Some files go missing.
When you hear that response from the Justice Department, do you believe that's sufficient?
Thanks so much for having me, Caitlin. And the answer is no, it's not. They are not responding to the law. And at this point, I think it appears clearer and clearer every day that they are knowingly violating and willfully violating the law that we passed, that Donald Trump signed into law, requiring them to turn over every responsive document. And I want to be clear, just to clarify two things that I think you alluded to. One, Donald Trump is accused of assaulting a child in those memos that you mentioned. Two, that it's not just a few dozen documents that are not being turned over. Fully half of the documents that we're aware of, some 3 million documents, have not been turned over by the DOJ. They claim they fully responded, and yet we've found over and over again, and I can tell you that oversight Democratic staff have confirmed what you have found, that these documents are missing. They were not turned over, even though they were very clearly responsive to the questions that we asked. And this appears to be part of a very broad cover-up. And you may remember back last May when Pam Bondi reportedly told Donald Trump he was in the Epstein files. After that, there were a lot of reports that DOJ attorneys were being asked to go redact documents, to hide documents, to remove documents from the files that had Donald Trump's name. So we're definitely continuing to look at this, but it appears that the DOJ is willfully violating violating the law.
Once again, no charges have been filed against any major names, except Prince Andrew, in connection to Epstein's crimes yet. The files show correspondence and proposed meetings, not criminal findings. But in today's climate, public trust is fragile, and it's fading as we speak. What do you think will happen now? Let us know in the comments below.